This is a real treat because I'm here together with the two leaders of the AAMGA Technology Conference, and we're right in the middle of the conference and have had a very successful first day. General Agent Jim Mostowski of Jim Core Agency and CJ Ketterer of Scottsdale Insurance Company. So you guys have had the best turnout you've had, and how do you assess the conference so far?
Well, I think the turnout, we really started focusing this year on expanding the conference to include not just the AAMGA members, but all the affiliated people that they do business with, the London markets, extra retailers, and so that we feel that resulted in the great turnout for this year.
How about you, Jim?
I would agree with everything CJ just said. I would also add in the fact that we've really had a strong push for London participation in this year's conference, and I think we're over 25 additional members that have joined us from London, and I think it's a great addition to what we need to be accomplishing. I know we'll get into the joint working group, I'm sure, in a minute or two, but to really further the progress of our industry.
Yeah, and what's neat to see is at this meeting some of the proof of concepts, discussion about Accord standards. There are issues involved with those things, but everybody's talking about it and wanting to move forward. And you guys have both been active with the E&S Joint Working Group from the beginning, bringing the retail agents and the GAs and the carriers together. How would you assess the progress so far, and where do we go next?
Well, as the panel discussion said this morning, they were really, in 2 years' time now, the demo that was gone over is basically the round trip from the retailer to the general agent to the carrier and then back to the retailer. Obviously, you have to start walking before you start running, so there's going to be improvements, but the fact that this much progress has been made in 2 years, basically starting from scratch, I think is just really incredible.
How do you look at this, Jim, as a GA?
I think it's incredible. I mean, you saw some of the demo today where when the round trip transaction happened, and I think 2 years ago, when we started discussing this, I think people just thought it was still a dream. And we proved today that the reality does exist, it can be done. And as Tammy Miller, who was on the panel showing it, proved to everybody, it wasn't that hard. The other interesting thing I'd say from the joint working group today, I've heard a lot from from all vendors, carriers, London participation, MGAs, really everybody participating. I heard the word change used multiple times, and that people are willing to accept change, and they need to accept change. And this is going across all the industry segments. It's not just one area where just the MGAs are pushing. We have vendor panel today, where I think everything really that was discussed was how do we change our business to become more efficient.
So, okay, as the leaders of this group, what would you like to see happen over the next year that would really make you happy and like to see showcased at the next meeting, dealing with the progress we're seeing?
Well, I think the continuation of different options for the round trip, more vendors getting involved. I think one of the things that's being discussed was the addition of some web services that is going to help everybody involved to start getting those going a little bit more. And too, the standards are being used more. Everybody knows that there's still some work to do, and they're not perfect, especially in our segment. But continue to work on that because it glues all the other pieces together.
How about you, Jim?
Jeff, I would add in the fact that what I think you've been preaching for years to us is that we need more participation. And I know we're really excited at the numbers we're at, but basically CJ and I, about 4 or 5 months ago, CJ, had a conference call with the past 4 chairs of this association and tried to come up with a plan to get to 500 people. So we're not really satisfied at 270. And one of the people, I think we're going to look to you to help us on this, is getting some more retailers here. Because I think even the London participation was saying, the first thing they said to me was, it was really interesting to hear from the retailers this morning during the joint working group what they're looking for, the end customers. So I think as we grow this and get some more retail support of this, along with some of the other vendors that were not here specifically, like an RMS and an AIRS, where the modeling systems are involved, into the future, I think is where we need to head. And that would be the goal.
Well, I think those are great goals, and I agree with you on the retail agents and the new marketing group that we have within the joint working group is such a critical one to get that broadened message. So I'd like to thank you both for having us at the conference and for putting on such a great show. It's very, very impressive.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Jeff.
Jeff.